I was attacked by PC Parker, shots fired, I need an ambulance.
10-4, can you confirm it's blue on blue, shots fired?
We learned that it was a police officer that had shot a police officer. So that was really cause for concern. There wasn't a lot of information out there other than one officer had shot another.
I've been wanting to cover this story for a few years now. The story of a cop shooting another cop. See, I grew up in Niagara. Such an amazing place in the summer when you head out of the city center and into the countryside. I heard about the story and was fascinated by it. All the twists and turns, something out of a movie. But when I dug deeper into the story, I was shocked at what actually happened and how two cops with the Niagara Regional Police Service tried to kill each other while on duty on a cold November day in 2018. This is Nathan Parker. He joined the Niagara Regional Police Service in 1990. He was a road cop, based in the Niagara region, close to a town called Pelham, a quiet little town located about an hour or so drive from Toronto, Ontario. On that particular day, Parker was assigned to a traffic point located at Roland Road and Effingham Street in Pelham, Ontario, Canada. The traffic point Parker was guarding was due to a police investigation into a car accident which occurred about a week prior. Now, while at his traffic point, Parker was met by his supervisor, Sergeant Shane Donovan, a veteran with 19 years on the service. Donovan had told Parker several times to move his police scout car to a better location to block traffic, but Parker refused. Parker then left his post and went to a nearby washroom, and when he returned, Sergeant Donovan began to berate and scold Parker about leaving his post. An argument ensued where Parker had pulled out his collapsible baton, threatening Donovan's life. According to Donovan, Parker began to strike him with punches, enough that Donovan feared for his life. Donovan then pulled out a service weapon and shot Parker 10 times. There have been numerous articles and videos on this, but I want to break it down from an ex-cop perspective. The story only gets better and better as we delve deep into this cluster. This is Mad Lab Press.
I attended his graduation at the Ontario Police College, and that was a joyous occasion. Our grandfather was there. He was a veteran of the Second World War. He exchanged hats with my brother. He put his grandpa hat with my brother in his uniform, and he took my brother's service cap on and posed for a picture, and that was a really warm moment. To tell you the truth, I didn't have a male role model. We didn't have a father. So he was he was my older brother, but he was sort of like, I didn't have a yardstick on how to judge how was I supposed to be a man, how was I supposed to be a male. So I looked to his example. I admired him. I tried to emulate him. But at the same time, there was also fear, because whenever he became angry, he was vicious. He's not raging 24/7. He can be humorous and just have the characteristics of any well-adjusted person, and then he'll become angry, and it's disturbing. He was just naturally attracted to it. I guess he was drawn, just born for it. He certainly was driven. We were both skinny, but he turned to weight training to build himself up, and I think that wasn't just for athleticism. I think that was for the purpose of becoming a police officer, to, become powerful and intimidate or overpower people who are resisting. It's just so frustrating, because He assaults people on the job. If I went to my workplace and assaulted someone, of course, I would immediately be fired and face criminal charges. So why should there be a double standard for police? That would be such a great deterrent. You're not a bunch of passive observers. You're the ones in charge. Change it. Come on. Get people, weed them out of police service. They don't belong. I don't know, I guess their hands are tied? Their hands shouldn't be tied. I think that's an excuse. Come on, police chiefs. You got power, you got authority. Stand up. Do something. Change the system. You're the ones in charge. You're not a bunch of passive observers. You're the ones in charge. Change it.
Parker had spelled the license plate wrong, and this brought up a whole bunch of laughter in the courtroom, and so obviously I laughed too. He left the bench and he came down and he came up to me and he says, "If you even look at me or say anything in the courtroom, I'm going to arrest you." I said, "Fine." So as soon as he sat down, I stood up and I said, "Your Honor, and I've just been threatened by a police officer that he was going to arrest me if I said anything or looked at him." And the judge says, "No, you're not going anywhere, just sit down." So as I sat down, the next thing I remember was I was put in a chokehold behind from Parker, and he dragged me with my glasses went flying. And he dragged me out through the doors, the double doors that are the entrance into the courthouse. Punching my ribs, punching my shoulders, punching my head.
These are just a few injuries Wayne Penner received from Constable Parker's beating in court that day. The 16-year-old boy filed a complaint, and Parker was charged, eventually losing a week's pay. Now here we have Pino Carbonera. He was a cyclist in the Niagara region who was cut off by Parker. Parker, who was off duty at the time, pulls over Carbonera and exits his personal vehicle. He then approaches Carbonera, throws him to the ground, and arrests him while off duty for mischief, claiming he had damaged his car. Now, Carbonera filed a complaint with the Niagara Regional Police, where the police disciplinary panel docked Parker a week's pay.
Niagara emergency.
Please, right away.
What is your emergency?
Altercation on the road here. He grabbed him by the head. He claims he was an officer.
Okay.
There's no way an officer would grab a guy by the head like that.
Niagara emergency. Need police, fire, or ambulance?
I think police major battle here. Two guys. I don't know the particulars.
Can you give me some information?
And he's trying to pull them out of the truck as we speak.
One of the males is trying to pull someone else out of the truck?
Yeah, as we speak right now. Excuse me, sir. If you're a police officer, you're totally out of line. Am I? Yes, am I?
On Lake Street, and I came to a red light stop, and the truck beside me came to a skidding stop beside me. And the next thing I heard a lot of screaming, a lot of effing, all that kind of stuff. I got out of my car, I called 911 right away.
You want the license numbers?
Hang on 1 second.
There was a gentleman at the window of the truck, and he was extremely irate. Unfortunately, the guy in the truck made the mistake of putting the window down enough that he could get his hands in. And he was attempting to pull him out of there, and I would say by the ears. That's when I told him, like, look, slow down, back off, let him go. And that's when he let the guy go, and he looked at me with this crazy look, and he walked towards him. He didn't run, and he's kind of like this on my chest. And then all of a sudden, kaboom, he nailed me really good.
One of the main reasons I chose this video was because of this detective right here, who works for the Niagara Regional Police. The victim of Parker's road rage filed a complaint against Parker with the Niagara Regional Police Service. He was then called in for an interview for his side of the story. Now watch very closely as this scumbag detective tries to blame the victim, a tactic police services from across Canada try and do. It's happened to me. It's happened to people I know, and it's happened to family members of mine. The detective also states, without all the information present, that the victim was the one who started the whole incident. It's disgusting to watch.
My name is Bud Rung. I'm a detective sergeant. I work out of the casino unit in Niagara Falls. Your name is Don Plato? Yes. Is it Donald? Yes. And can you just
watch how it begins?
What I read, if there was an offense committed, it would be dangerous driving. So before I get any type of statement from you, I want you to be aware of the jeopardy that you may be facing. I'm not saying you are facing anything.
Okay.
But I want you just to be aware.
He crossed over 2 lanes. So I lay on the horn.
Mm-hmm.
He slams on the brakes. I can't go anywhere. I'm wedged like this. I don't know who he is. He comes out of the truck. He grabs me by the hair and ears and just like he's trying to pull me out of the truck.
Okay.
This man's a pretty big guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he started with profanity and swearing.
So as he grabs you, what is he saying to you?
Or he's just screaming and yelling like a madman.
Yeah.
And the scary thing was, if we would have been out in a dark neighborhood where there's no witnesses, I don't know where this guy would have stopped.
Yeah. What we could call professional standards. It's kind of like you see on TV, the internal people.
Yeah.
I can't say to you, here you come to court and you get up, because it's up to you. And if you're not interested in pursuing, I'm certainly not going to victimize you again and say you have to. It's up to you. You know, they talk about policemen, you should be held to a higher standard, which I 100% agree with. And the criminal code doesn't look at stuff that way, but the Police Services Act does. So even things like swearing, right? Swearing in public, you can lose time. And if there is a history and severe offenses in the Police Service Act, ultimately you can lose your job. So
when it all was said and done, and as the evidence mounted that Donovan was acting in self-defense, and there wasn't a reasonable prospect of conviction, the Crown decided to withdraw the charges. Parker was then charged for assaulting Donovan with a weapon. At Parker's trial, held over several days in 2021, centered on Donovan testifying about the fight. But the trial stalled. Now get this. The trial stalled when it came to light that Donovan was in possession of a USB stick containing evidence from the SIU's initial investigation. How did he get this USB stick? But he denied reviewing many of the documents. The Ontario Provincial Police were called in to do a forensic examination. They found Donovan had seen key evidence, including Parker's statements and medical records and statements of key civilian witnesses, enough to taint his testimony. So at the end of the day, folks, Parker and Donovan's charges were dropped, and this whole incident was put to bed. This is Mad Lab Press.